What's going on, guys? Wanted to film an update on the UV light box build as well as Operation Homemade Stencil. And I've got a few things to report, including some success as well as some failure. And I wanted to kind of talk about that as well as where I'm going to be going from here. But before I get into all that, I did finish the box, and it's really a pretty simple build. And I was pretty well done with it on the last video, other than just mounting the UV LED strips, soldering those connections together, and then connecting the power adapter, which is laying down here on the floor. And there's just a spare I had lying around. I got a box of these things from various pieces of equipment that's either broken or become obsolete over the years. I think this one was actually given to me in a pile of them, but I think it was from a camcorder maybe. And it's 11 volts. These LEDs are for 12, but it's close enough and it works. So that's what I ended up using. If I were to buy one specifically for this, they're only $5, $6, $10, but why spend the money when you got something that'll work? So ended up mounting that, and just to show you guys what the LED strips look like. I actually really like this product. This particular reel has about 300 of these, a little over 16 feet long. But what I really like is a couple things. For one, you can cut this at every 3 LEDs into really small strips or really big ones. And then you just have to peel this little membrane. It's like almost a hot glue or something. You peel that membrane off at the very edge where you cut it, and there's a couple little copper soldering points. Peel that off, cut it out of the way, and then you can solder some leads onto that, or do it however you need to. And they do go all the way through the back if you want to layer it back together. And then on the back here, there's some paper that you remove to reveal an adhesive, and you can pretty much stick this stuff, anywhere that's flat and clean. So pretty neat little product. It was about $20 for the whole reel, I think, on Amazon. And I could definitely see a lot of neat applications. Maybe not for the UV lights, but for similar LEDs, you can get those in all kinds of colors. But I used maybe about a third of it, and I'll actually show that to you now. And I also cut a piece of Kydex just to fit over the glass. Kind of press down and keep the stencils flat and against the negative, or the transparency film. And there's the LEDs. So there's about 99 of them all together. I spaced them pretty close. And let's see if I can plug this in. And it's probably not going to look as bright on camera, but it's plenty bright enough. And I don't think it really even needs to be super bright. It just may develop faster or slower depending on brightness. But plenty of light, and I did kind of test it out a little while ago, which does bring me to kind of the success and failure part of the story here. As I mentioned, I did buy some PCB photoresist film specifically for that application. Not really knowing if it would work, but suspecting that it possibly wouldn't. And what's kind of unique, I guess, about knife making or steel etching stencils is that it is a photoresist film that you develop and remove, the negative part of the film. But inside that, there's actually a mesh or a screen that kind of holds the integrity of the stencil or the film together, so that if you're doing letters and such, the inside circles and inside curves aren't gonna come apart or fall out on you, if that makes sense. And that's not really the case with PCB film. It's actually intended to be laminated onto a copper clad circuit board. And because it becomes laminated on there, it doesn't really fall apart like it would if it were floating around like a regular stencil. And then you could put acid or whatever on it, and then strip it off with a purpose-made cleaner. So it's a little bit of a different material, different application, and unfortunately isn't going to work like I hoped it might, the way that I like to etch stencils. Now, I suppose I could develop them and then laminate them or heat them onto a piece of steel and then use acid or electro etching to do that. But, then you got to strip the thing off and clean everything up. And it's just more steps and more of a pain. There's really no point to try to do that, only to save a few dollars here or there. So what I'm actually going to end up doing is buying a sheet or two of the purpose-made knife maker stencil material, and there's several places I can get that, several that have been recommended to me. If you guys have recommendations, by all means, if you got a good price somewhere or a good product, let me know. But I've got a couple places in mind. I'll probably order from one of them here in the next week or two, just to get some, as well as some developing solution. So that was kind of failure number one, albeit a lesson learned. And I'm only out about $10 for the Photoresist, so I'm not all that upset about it. But the other lesson learned is the transparency material. And this is part, I had another one somewhere. The transparency film that they make for inkjets really seems to be just about worthless, or maybe it's just my printer. And maybe I could have given it a little bit more time to dry, but it's probably been an hour or so. And this stuff still just smears right off. So I'm not really happy about that. You really have to treat this with kid gloves to kind of keep its integrity, and then when you put the stencil film over it, you're going to get some transfer. I don't know how well it'll show up on camera, but you're still going to get some transfer from the wet ink. There you go. So obviously that's not going to work. I'm going to need to go to a toner or a laser jet printer, and either I'll invest in one for myself, which I probably need to do anyway, or I'll just go somewhere that has a copy machine or a decent printer and print a couple of transparent sheets with my stencils on them. Just have those to use. So that was kind of a lesson / failure number 2. I think I was out about $6 or $8 for those. Although I guess I could still use them on the laser jet, even though they are technically made for inkjet. So we'll see how that works. And there's other types, stencil paper and stuff you can use. It doesn't have to be transparent, but I think that'll maybe give you the best, clearest picture, maybe not. And by all means, if anybody knows anything that I don't about this, and I know very little, feel free to share it in the comments below. Maybe refer me to some resources if you have them. But all in all, we got a light box out of it. We learned a few things. I still need to, I guess, acquire a few more materials before I'm ready to go into full-blown production on these personal stencils for myself. But I think I'm on the right track, and for a little bit more money, I'll still be saving a considerable amount over having them done elsewhere or outsourcing them. And it'll be a little bit quicker turnaround for things, and a little more versatile as well. So that's where we're at. I may make an update video if or when I get the things I do need. Maybe even include a tutorial or something on how I make it. Although there's already plenty of good ones on YouTube if you search for them. But we'll see. I'm going to put this on hold for a while. I'll get back to making some knives, and maybe in the next week or two I'll get what I need and start playing with that some more. So that's pretty much it, guys. I appreciate the views. Leave any comments, criticisms, concerns, or general info below, and we'll see you on the next one.